Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for calling in on this Sunday evening, 26th of January, 2025. Today, now is 8:30 p.m. Malaysia time, and we have a number of participants, in fact, international mix. So we have from Canada and then from all parts of Malaysia, so which I can see. Okay, so this month, we will talk about February 2025 forecast. February 2025 forecast is a bit unique because it's also the transition energy of a Li Chun to a new year. That means we will transition into the snake year. The January, we are still in the Jiachen year or the dragon year. So in February, we start the Li Chun of the month itself with abundance. Okay. And in this platform, for those who are new or just join us, we actually in this platform, we apply both Chinese astrology and also trend research. Chinese astrology by me, trend research by BC to focus on economic, financial, geopolitical events to help you to make better investment decision. Okay. So the outline of the agenda or the talk agenda itself, we will always start with the introduction, which I have done just now, the disclaimer, okay, and then the brief recap of last month's forecast. Both BC and I will always check on the accuracy of our forecast. We have run this platform for almost like 3 years already. Time has passed. So influence of, then I will talk about the influence of the 5 elements energy in January 2025. We know that the Chinese astrology solely is actually based on the 5 elements interaction. No matter what school, what type of things that you use, qi men dun jia, feng shui, or ba zi, or yi jing, all these are actually, 5 elements. That's all. Break it down to 5 elements framework. Okay, if you want to really understand Chinese astrology well. So yeah, we will talk about the February. Yeah, I will need to change this. We will talk about the February 2025 geopolitics and financial forecast, also by BC through his trend research. And then we will summarize the talk for tonight on February, generally what you should expect. Okay. So the disclaimer here, the content that we have here is purely based on our study in the global trends in the relation of 5 elements in Chinese astrology and also global trends research for you to use as a guideline in your investment decision, because we know that investment is also very much affected by global trends. If you have a foresight to global trends, that means you can also roughly know what are the prosperous items that you need to invest in. You should exercise cautions in investment, especially in volatile situation like this, and do your own research on the company or the commodity you want to invest. No stocks advice will be given. For our members, we have recommended that some of the stocks we study in the Telegram channel. Okay, so additional support, we will always, happy to answer through emails for our members and in the member Telegram group. Our studies goes beyond just normal stocks. We are not, stocks investors. We go to through the supply chain from the commodity base on which to invest until which are the prosperous element until some are at the stocks level, the company level. Okay, this is what we do. So you can choose to that's why our coverage is very wide in terms of we look at things like precious metal, things like crypto, okay, and also then only to stocks itself. Okay, because that is essentially what it covers in the global trends. So we analyzes different regional economies such as US, Europe, China, okay, and then please note because each economy are different. So there will be inherent differences or biasness in regional perspectives. So all our observations are based on our study and the current economic trends. It does not reflect absolute or definitive judgments about any specific regions. Okay, so in terms of, we are only covering what is shown in the economic trends, and our research go beyond the mainstream media. Okay, so because we know that sometimes the mainstream media, some of the data can be massaged. That's why we go beyond that as well. And for those who join us for the first time, let me introduce a bit about ourselves. My name is Evelyn. The gentleman that I'm the partner that you see is BC. So both of us, we partner our skills in different areas, but both also able to forecast about global trends. We deploy two methods, that Chinese astrology and trend research, to focus on the global trends. Okay, because nowadays there are a lot of noise, so sometimes we will need to focus. So from the Chinese astrology, at least we can give a direction where to focus, and also where to look at from the global trends research. So the Chinese astrology itself is not superstitious belief, but is also aligned to the planetary field and trends research as well. That means it's from the planetary energy that job magnetic fields that is impacting the earth and give rise to certain events. I think those who follow me long enough, or you can visit my YouTube channel, which I have scientifically spoken that how does Chinese astrology can be used to forecast on the trends research. And also in some other platform like Casey Lau's platform, I also talk about that to at least educate people that all these things about Chinese astrology is very scientifically related to the alignment of the planets and to the rotation field and the magnetic field that it has the impact on the Earth. For example, period 9 is actually a conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter, with every 20 years changes. Okay, you will notice that in global histories, if you read that, also there are big changes every 20 years, like the world wars, the two world wars, some of the Vietnam War, and from the early times already. So we have achieved about 80% accuracy to help our members in making a profitable investment through our investment. So our members here tonight, most of them are our members. So members, do you think that what we have done, is it it is helping you in your investment? If have, can you please type a 2 in the chat box? Okay. Yes, I will, yes, good, Mitra, thank you. So yeah, I'm Chingy, thank you. Okay. So this is we have run this for 3 years. Every year our membership grows, and we don't go and advertise in the Facebook and all these things. We don't do all these things. All our traffics are actually organic, and people will follow us because of our work and what we do, that our research that we have done. No fluff, no fuss, anything about this platform. Okay. We will just give facts, and our time is only spent, rather than marketing, we will spend it on on researching. Okay, so let's recap on January 2025 forecast itself, which I've already talked about it. So I have talked about, is strong with fire, the presence of Jiaxun, in the day branch. When we have Jiaxun and Jiachen, both of them clash, means that nothing is good one. Okay, so you can see that in January, it also happens that the wildfire in Los Angeles, in most part of the California. I'm very sorry for, the loss of all these people there. Okay, so presence of Jiaxu actually in day pillar, and then the year pillar is still Jiachen. Last time also the same thing. I think in April we also have a clash of Jiaxu and Jiachen. That's why we have the earthquake in Taiwan, and moreover that time was Zhenhua. So I have also forecasted earthquake then, and it really happens. I'm so sorry about it. Okay, so actually, like Yeah, I forecasted like 1 or 2 days ahead. And after that, somebody, text me, there's an earthquake in Taiwan already. Okay. So Earth itself is not very stable, potential hidden disasters, which we can see from there. And then also we have, innovations, AI and sustainable technology that we are we are looking at. DeepSeek becomes so hot now, okay, and even Xiaohongshu, okay. One of our members highlighted that a lot of US people are started to use Xiaohongshu after TikTok has been banned. Okay, so it was a follow leader approach, which I think BC will talk more about it, right? BC.
Yeah. We'll not so much on Xiaohongshu lah, but more
Under follow
on,
leader on Trump.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then we expect slow and steady advances in technology and social reforms. So I wouldn't say that this is really slow anymore. Yeah. So I do not know it's good thing or not. So first of all, I won't go so much into the news headline as this one, because this month we have a very exciting month, and also very abnormal natural phenomenon. So it's Aurora, right? Everyone knows what is Aurora, right? Aurora, the northern lights, where the skies has beautiful lights for you to see. Anyone does not know Aurora. So Aurora is actually nowadays even down south region that are not supposed to have Aurora. We see that they are all actually not good sign one. It's actually caused by solar flare. And this is the period 9 phenomenon. Okay, period 9, we know that the fire is very strong. Even from the sun itself, there's many solar flares, solar storms there, and then cause the geothermic magnetic field that is so strong and cause the aurora to happen in those down south regions. Okay, so whenever we see that they are beautiful to look at, but they are not very good. If I have checked the internet, it's not only me that says that. We have like Indian gurus and all this also stated that as well. Okay, so it is from many cultures that says that this is up to no good. And true enough, in the Down South, until Alabama and California actually is both already considered at the southern part of US, and they're not supposed to see aurora. Even Toronto also, we are not supposed to see aurora. But sometimes I think DC also we have that. We have that in Toronto also. Okay, so and then after this, there is tornadoes in Alabama area, I think around that area, and the most prominent one is California, the wildfire, which has not stopped yet till now, right?
Yeah, I think this is one of their worst fire. But also there were a lot of faults with the government there because of the diversity inclusion and all those kind of thing lah. So a lot of capable people will make way for those people for more inclusivity, although they lack the experience. So those experienced people were laid off. So that caused a lot of even more problems.
Yeah, that's right. And also, be careful. Trump just go into the presidency. So in I Ching, this is not a good sign. This is all considered as evidential occurrence in I Ching itself. Actually, if you want to see evident occurrences, things around you that happen, that abnormals, you just use your ears, your eyes, to observe, and your senses, you will know roughly. Sometimes you can also have the intuition to to know that something good or something bad is happening. Okay, so these are all from the perspective of I Ching itself. And then another thing is that we also have alignment of planets on 21st. I think for the whole month of um January till February, we have a planet parade of 6 planets that they align more or less together, and this is very rare. I think not many, they will happen like many, many years. I do not know when was the last one because I go in Google, I check, even I ask AI, I also cannot find. Okay, it's considered as rare. Okay, so anything that is rare, they are nice to look at. They have very, very huge energy also. That's why I say that this year all the flying stars also, the energy will be very great. Okay, much, much more intensified. So this one, it will intensify the gravitational force, because all the planets will align together, the gravitational force. But I do not know how is there, this one, from the Earth itself. So this one, we need to look at that how will this impact us. I already talked about it. You can go and observe it, no problem. Okay, unlike the solar eclipse, I tell y'all, to avoid it. But this one is okay. You can go and check on it. If you have a clear nights, no clouds in the sky, actually you can see it. The other day I tried to see, I cannot, because I think there were clouds in the southwestern western sky. So in my Telegram channel, I have already put in how to observe all these planets, which part of the sky that you need to look at. You can only observe, I think, only 5 planets. The rest, like Neptune and Uranus, they are too far away. You cannot really see them. Uranus is too small, and yeah, it's the furthest planet in the and out of the 7 planets, so you cannot really see it very clearly. Even Neptune is already, anything after Saturn is not clear anymore, cannot be observed through the naked eyes anymore. You have to use telescope or binoculars to look at it. Okay, and I also give special manifestation date in my Telegram channel on when the energy is so strong, so we need to ensure that we have inner peace, so that we will not let this energy impact us and cause us, to have some bad decisions. Okay, then we also talk about shortage of resources, because the chart itself, in the solar terms, I've already seen the lack of resources. Okay, so sometimes I look at the solar terms chart as well. So every month we have 2 solar terms. One solar terms is always 21st, which is aligned to the transition of the English zodiac sign, all those like Aquarius star and all these things. Okay, so the shortage of resources is already talked about, and now we have, we also find this one. I clip it from the Astrology and Global Trends, which PC share, he will share more. Okay, so we will see whether really US is really that self-sustained or not, self-dependable or not. We shall see about that. Okay.
I think the other thing is that a lot of people would think that US have a lot of oil, but US have a lot of light sweet crude. Now, light sweet crude cannot be immediately refined, and that is why US need to import heavy crude from overseas in order to blend with the light sweet crude to be able to refine. And that is why the US tries so hard to conduct regime change in Venezuela. Venezuela has one of the world's largest heavy crude resource. So that's one of the reasons. Okay, US therefore require to import heavy crude to blend together with light sweet crude in order to refine multiple types of petroleum products. Yeah, just for information.
Yeah, because nature itself also have different grades. Like our own oil, we have less sulfur. So we are, our oil can use in aeroplane, in Petronas oil. Okay, so they are all good quality. So they have different qualities. Whenever you see oil, that doesn't mean the country is going to be richer. It's also nature has itself to also give you different grades of things.
And since you talk about airplane fuel,
Yeah.
here's some information. Now you see in a lot of videos saying that the Chinese are harvesting gutter oil. It is very true. They are harvesting gutter oil, but it is being skewed in a sense that they are recycling the oil for cooking. It is not. Do you know that gutter oil in China right now is very expensive? because gutter oil can be converted into jet plane fuel. Okay, so that's why a lot of people are harvesting gutter oil.
Yeah, this is one of the, I think, transformation technology also that people are not aware of. That's why right now everyone wants our used cooking oil. Everyone wants to buy. Even Petronas also says that they want used cooking oil. So don't throw your cooking oils into the drain. My one, I keep it in a bottle. Okay, so let's go to month of February 2025 energy itself. As you can see, let me just annotate. As you can see here, we already have a new chart here. The February 3rd of 2025, 10, 11, some say trend 10, 10, whatsoever. It's still the same thing. It's still a quite high hour. This is the chart already. So what does this charts mean in detail? You can refer to our book, Astrology and Global Trends for year 2025 forecast. I already put in the forecast very detailed in that book. And if you join us as our Astrology and Global Trends members, you can get that book for free. Okay, so yeah, so that means in February, the year of snake will come in, and this is our entree, okay, to a fire year already. Okay, almost a fire because the wood will create fire. So fire is going to be strong also. Okay, yeah, and the mind pillar is 本营 is a earth it's a earth cycle, okay, earth cycle. So is actually yin. So it's actually wood. Inside the tiger animal is actually wood. It's the beginning of the spring. Okay, so this is called the beginning of the spring. The sky horse animal, they always starts the seasons. Okay, so the Brevinyard animals, they will end the seasons. Every season has 3 months. Okay, so from the chart itself, it shows that there potentially increase of rainfall because of the water itself. Could be increase of water related, floods, hurricanes, and tsunamis. That means that there will be more wind related incidents. In fact, Jiacheng already shows that. Okay, it also has to do with the 24 mountains itself, the secrets behind it. Okay, so geopolitics, there will be disputes of resources and maritime borders itself. I think this we already start to see that also. Okay, because of the water and lack of metal, so financial industries might have a problem, and the focus will be more on precious metal. Okay, and then you see this chart also is quite unique in a way that there is still a clash here. Last year there was a clash, earth heaven earth clash. So this year also they have a sort of a combo and sometimes a countering, and at the same time they also have a punishment itself. Okay, so from there in this chart, this is the February chart. It also governs the Li Chun chart, that means for the year of 2025 as well. So let me just remove this. And then, for the month of February 2025, we see the hexagram of number 5, abundance, 雷火风, okay, 雷火, 雷 means that it's thunder, here is thunder up here. Let me just annotate again. So this is thunder, okay, this is 整卦, is thunder. And then this is actually is fire 离卦, period 9 also. Okay, so is also the beginning of the fire period. So it's thunder and fire together. So it's like, goes, it's also people will feel, pressure in a way that, the have and have nots and all this, it's going to be, if you can see, it's going to be quite a a volatile period lah, itself lah, okay, with the February month. Okay. Next, we will go to, so it's expected that in terms of fire, the technology we're still making headlines. Okay, so but maybe it's a different type of headlines altogether. So when the fire is there, then there will be quite a lot of movement also. Quite a lot of surprise things that happens, changes that happens. Okay. So yeah. Let's look at the let's look at this one. Thanks Audrey for recommending our book. I hope you enjoy reading it. So let's look at the flying star. So normally I will do the flying star reading at the beginning of the year one. Okay. So this is for year of 2025 itself. It's also in the house, it's also the same. You can check my video in my channel. I will give you the link later on. In my channel that I talk about the sword cure. So I also talk about the different flying stars that will happens in your house also that you will need to watch out for. Okay, so number 5 actually is in northeast. So northeast itself, this year actually China, although it's growing, is coming up very fast, but I feel that this year they will have a lot of troublesome things also for them. Okay, so they will also have quite a bit of troublesome thing because this guy here argument, they will, they lah, okay. So they will make some propaganda. And then here is 7 is actually the robbery star. Okay, this is not multiplication, this is robbery star. So this one also is not in a very good shape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
US is going to rob Greenland from Denmark.
Oh, this is the Greenland, right? This is Greenland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so they experience robbery. So the middle two, there will be illness, but it's also is in a good way is assets accumulation. Illness stars number 2 is actually not that scary anymore in period 9 because eventually they will turn good in period 2. Okay, so but that was about more than 40 years, 60 years from now. Okay, so slowly, the attributes, the positive attributes will come in already. Okay, so number 9 should be the prosperous. So I think the Southeast Asia country will be doing quite well this year. Okay, and then Australia is quite okay, not bad. And then 6 is not bad. All these, South American country, and they are. It seems that they will, they will have quite they will experience, more good things because right now our world is also full of chaotic things. Okay, so generally maybe they will have more stability in economy and all these things. Okay, so this is what the way I look at the flying star. Then I also teach you how to mitigate the northeast number 5 star in my video as well. Okay, so
I think very interestingly, you put number 3, argument, which is precisely what is happening right now between US and Canada.
Yeah, true. That's
Yeah.
why, and I look at this, what every year, this one is the most, reflective of what is going on.
Yeah. And for South America, South America is quickly growing in a sense in terms of Brazil. Maybe later on in the members section, I'll put in a company in Brazil that Berkshire Hathaway is also investing in. It is a fintech company. So maybe later I put it in the members Telegram channel. Worth
exploring.
exploring.
Yeah,
Okay.
exploring, study and explore. Okay,
Yeah,
we
and
did not.
at the same time, Peru is now exporting the hinterland of South America, their resources through the Peru port all the way to China.
Mm,
And if you look at it, interestingly enough, for example, you look at assets accumulation over here, uh, sector 6 here, and
mm,
sector growth and academy over here.
mm,
Um, and most of these are actually BRICS nations are located.
yeah, they are resource-rich country also.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
and it is indirectly also telling us that that the prosperity would actually change in favor of the BRICS nations.
Mm, yeah, that's right. Actually, Africa has been very prosperous before in the history, like Egypt civilizations. Okay.
Yeah,
So the history also, like repeating itself because these stars all goes in cycle. Okay. So I think that's it. Let me just remove everything and then PC, you can share your things. I think you share your deck is better, right?
yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So yeah. Okay. So I can stop sharing and then please go ahead and share PC. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back a bit in January. So well, we make a lot of predictions now, but some are true, some are a bit a bit of flip-flop, and some most of them are actually according to what we forecast. I think let's start with the US. In January, we expected the market to start January with optimism, but fade into pessimism after mid-month as the US Treasury ran out of funds. But the other way happened. Okay, instead the market started with pessimism after the December non-farm payroll showed that more jobs were created than expected, reducing odds of an easier Fed policy. But situation soon reversed. Okay, as Trump inauguration moved closer, a wave of optimism recharged the market, even as the outgoing Janet Yellen warned that the US has run out of funds. Major catalysts being a lower core CPI and a CPI that met expectations, reducing the odds of a hawkish Fed. So we were forecasting that optimism come first, then pessimism, but the other way happened. Okay. Then in China, we warned that China could face an uphill battle to reach 2024 GDP target of 5% growth after the hiccup in retail sales. However, China managed to meet its targeted growth due to its higher exports and industrial production. So one sector of the economy did so well, especially in the manufacturing sector, that it helped offset the poorer retail sales. So where we got right, now we forecast that governments will react to Trump based on what he says or does. And definitely there were no shortage of news on this front, which we will dissect some of this later. And Trump demands immediate lowering of interest as what we predicted that Trump would pressure the Fed, okay, to cut rates. And Trump, we say that will be very positive for the businesses because he wants to build enthusiasm and optimism. So Trump hopes to cut the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15% if the goods are manufactured in the US. And he also signed an executive order to strengthen the US leadership in digital financial technology. This includes the establishment of a national crypto reserve. So we mentioned that he has always been talking about this. So ultimately, this is what he'll do, and he did so. But he did not specifically mention that the reserve will be Bitcoin. Okay, so that leaves it open for a very wide interpretation. Okay, and it may not be Bitcoin, okay, but uh it may be a cryptocurrency that can be used to tokenize assets. Okay, and that means that the assets are all tokenized, and it could be related to things like gold. Okay, for example, one of his candidate for the Fed is going to be Judy Shelton. Now, Judy Shelton has been very vocal in that the US should actually issue US Treasury backed by gold. And her rationale is that because the US will still need to spend money, it needs to borrow. But if, let's say, the Treasury is backed by gold for long-term Treasury bonds, then even though the US print money, but the gold price will continue to increase, so that upon maturity, if the US have accumulated enough gold, then the amount of gold that will be redeemed will be much lesser because of the appreciation in the gold price. And similarly, okay, BlackRock has says that it is high time that they tokenize assets in the US. So all this could be linked to a crypto reserve. And I'm just putting in a theory. Is nothing is cast in stone, okay? But the absence of Bitcoin seems to suggest that they might look at a variety of cryptocurrency depending on the type of assets and tokenize it. That's my opinion, okay? From what I gather, what Judy Shelton say and what BlackRock says, okay? So, and in the EU, we got most of our prediction right. We predicted that Europe will face a harsh winter, and this will increase the demand for gas, pushing the price higher. So the price of natural gas actually rose from $3.72 MBTU, okay, from 1st of January to 3.96 MBTU on 23rd January, gaining about 6.4% during the period. Okay, MBTU is actually a measurement of the thermal units of the gas. So we mentioned that Germany, France, and UK would be locked in political uncertainty. So Germany heads to the polls next month. No clear leader capable of forming the next government yet. In fact, they might need to form a coalition, okay? And France tries to avoid another collapse in government, okay? And this was the news in the month of January with their respective publication dates. So we put our forecast actually in the month of December. So in the UK, the government is in complete disarray as it is confronted with a number of with numerous economic obstacles. Okay, this is a news piece from Politico. Okay, that the UK Prime Minister and his top finance minister have faced dire economic headlines in recent days as sterling tanked and 10-year borrowing costs hit their highest level since the 2008 financial crisis. And there's growing support for anti-immigration policies in Europe. And we said that the BOE and ECB will panic and will look towards a more loose monetary policy because of the economic repercussion in Europe. So here, Bank of England's Taylor says it's time to cut interest rates, published on 16 January. ECB policymakers line up behind rate cuts and published on 22nd January. So China, where we got right, we were bullish on both the NEV and consumer electronics. The NEV car industry produced nearly 12.19 million units in 2024, up 36.4% year on year. And the wholesale figure rose 37.8% to 12.23 million units, and retail sales grew 40.7% to nearly 10.9 million units. 1.29 million NEVs were exported from China in 2024, representing a year-on-year increase of 24.3%. By December, the domestic NEV retail penetration rate had climbed 49.4%, up 9.1 percentage points from a year earlier. Then the sales of revenue of consumer goods under China policy-backed trade-in program has surpassed 1.3 trillion, and this program will be extended and expanded in 2025. Chinese consumer brands were the sector beneficiaries. So during the period, over the 1 year since they started the trade-in program, Xiaomi has gained 167%, and TCL Electronics gained 200% since they started the trade-in program. So although I seldom talk about I hardly talk about TCL Electronics, but in most of the weekly report that I've or in the members area in our monthly presentation, I've said that the trade-in program would be very bullish for consumer electronics brand. But of course, Xiaomi was the popular one due to its exposure to both electronics, gadgets, and the NEVs.
TCL, I have also worked with them before. Okay, I think those who knows my line of work, I've been when they started their operations more than 10 years ago. I was there, but I think they really have grown leaps and bounds until today where they are.
Yeah. So, and we forecast that China will continue to make important breakthroughs. So DeepSeek R1 shocked everyone with its low cost. So this is a comparison that they make, okay, where DeepSeek, in terms of calibration error, DeepSeek actually has a lowest when compared to the other leaders. And here, it mentioned that DeepSeek R1 is 100% open source and 96.4% cheaper than OpenAI, okay, 0.1, while delivering similar performance. So within a week, there were a lot of people that have tested DeepSeek and have given it raving reviews. And
for AI, the review, I don't know because ChatGPT, they have a few models. So maybe I think DeepSeek have tested it. They are equivalent to model 1.0, which is the best in reasoning. Okay, but that model is tokenized. It's only limited usage. Okay, even for paid subscriber, also limited usage. So I do not know when they have all this comparison. So is it whether it's which model they are talking about also? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So China also make breakthrough in lithography equipment, where it advances its EUV lithography, sidestepping US chip sanctions. Now, China right now, I just found out that ASML actually met ASML, I think Vice President went to China to meet up with Chinese authorities. And since the US has changed president, they are right now saying, well, you can buy our DUV machine. But the problem here is that ASML is rather furious right now because China's 28 nanometer lithography machine is also ready for export. And their selling price is more than half of ASML. Okay, so that's the problem. China is such a big country with such a huge market, and in terms of technology, universities in technology, China actually have 8 of 7 or 8 of them in the top 10 in the world. So with so
Yeah.
many brands, okay, with so many brains behind so many projects, it is just a matter of time China will make breakthroughs. So right
Yeah.
now, China is exporting 28 nanometer lithography machine at more than half the price of ASML. So for those of you who hold ASML or think that ASML is the monopoly, okay, it's no longer is, okay. So I believe that China in 1 or 2 years would actually have a functioning EUV machine, okay, that can produce 2 nanometer or to 5 nanometer. So because China is, you know, they can come up with so many innovations, okay, and it's already making new breakthroughs. And here is another breakthrough. China fusion reactor sets a new world record. And this world record is its own world record. Okay, previously I think was 15 minutes. Right now they've extended it to 18 minutes. Now fusion reactor, if let's say it can function 24/7, 365, would actually provide the world with very cheap energy, okay? And the world no longer need to be worried about contamination, okay, like from the likes of nuclear power. So because fusion energy doesn't have any residue of radioactive materials, okay. So we highlighted that the Chinese government will be very aggressive with stimulus in 2025. According to China Breaking News, Chinese economists expect the 2025 stimulus package to reach 10% of current GDP for at least 10 trillion of economic stimulus over a 1 to 2 year period. And we forecast that China could implement wider restriction with regard to the sales of key minerals to the US. And right now, just early of this month, China proposes stricter export curbs on battery and critical minerals technology, which means everything to do with the battery industry. So we predicted that China will be very active in the precious metals market. And this is something that is very interesting, which happened just, I think, about 2 weeks ago. China Construction Bank has announced the extension of the transaction hours for personal gold accumulation from 9:10 a.m. on Monday to 2:30 a.m. on Saturday, okay, with real-time transaction available 24/5. So depositors can convert gold and RMB within seconds. The conversion can take place without any approval or document procedures and can be converted with just one touch. It is reported that other large state-owned banks will soon launch the same business. The gold accumulation is similar to paper gold, which can be bought and sold online and settled in cash, but which can be exchanged for physical gold as well. The bank mobile app automatically activates this function. Users can hold gold and sell gold for cash payment in real time. The minimum buying and selling unit is 0.01 gram, less than $1 per transaction. So this news was reported by Bai Xiaojun, a precious metal analyst from China. So you can see that they are making it so easy for people to convert their cash to gold. Okay. Previously, when they go to the bank to convert cash to gold, they need to have procedures or documentation and such. Right now, it's all through an app. So this is just China Construction Bank, but imagine if more major Chinese banks comes in, okay, and offer the same service, then you have a lot of people that would actually buy and sell gold, just using their mobile phone. So let's look at US economic indicators. US GDP Q3 was 3.1%. So CPI rose 0.4% month on month in December, Year-on-year, it grew 2.9%, up from 2.7% in November. Core CPI rose 0.2% month-on-month in December. Year-on-year, it rose 3.2%, down from 3.3% in November. Now, this fall of 0.1% was what triggered the rally. Okay, the PPI rose 0.2% month-on-month in December. Year-on-year, it gained 3.3%, up from 3% in November. Retail sales rose 0.4% month-on-month in December. Year-on-year, it gained 3.9%. Net retail sales less CPI was 1%. Industrial production rose 0.9% month-on-month in December. Year-on-year, it rose 0.5%, up from negative 0.6% in November. So it seems that the US industry is seeing some reinvigoration, okay? And NAHB index came in at 47 in January, up from 46 in December, but it's still in contraction. So housing starts exploded 15.8% month-on-month in December, while housing permits fell 0.7%. Existing home sales rose 2.2% month-on-month in December. Year-on-year, it rose 9.3%. Preliminary US manufacturing PMI came in at 50.1 in January, up from 49.4 December. So here shows that there is some optimism in the US manufacturing scene. Preliminary US services PMI came in at 52.8 in January, down from 56.8 in December. So let's look at Trump's first few days. So we forecast that governments will react to Trump based on what he says or does. And here are some examples. So US pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement and WHO to close the border and immediate deportation of illegal immigrants, and designated the drug cartels in Mexico as terrorists. Abolishing many of the Biden admin policy, including the work agenda, DEI, and other ESG policies. Ending birthright citizenship, but this will be challenged by the court, okay, because that is contravening against the Constitution. Changing the name of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, the US citizens love it, but it's very petty. So all federal agencies to freeze hiring. And this order does not apply to military personnel or the armed forces or to positions related to immigration enforcement, national security, or public safety. All federal employees must report to work in person. So can you imagine that last time Biden allowed government employees to work from home, whether they work or not, that is a huge question, okay? And he also signed an executive order to strengthen US leadership in digital financial technology, and this includes establishment of a national crypto reserve. Trump also signed executive order to release files on the assassinations of JFK. MLK, etc. Trump suggested that Canada should become the 51st state of the US, and the US would take back the Panama Canal, and that Greenland should be sold to the US. So Trump said he would impose 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico imports. Canada responded that it will retaliate accordingly, while Mexico stressed on its sovereignty, but avoided mentioning any retaliation. Trump gave TikTok a 90-day reprieve from ban, giving opportunity for TikTok to discuss a sale of 50% interest to US companies, failure of which the ban will come into effect when the 90 days come due. I believe that TikTok would not sell because US constitute I think less than 10% of their overall revenue. Okay, and US is demanding that the sale of TikTok, okay, would be its global operations, not just the operation in the US. So I doubt that that will be so at all. So Trump demanded an immediate reduction in interest rate. He also intends to cut corporate tax from 21% to 15% if the products are made in the US. Trump threatened to impose 100% tariff on BRICS countries if they replace the US dollar. Trump also threatened more sanctions against Russia if Putin refuses to negotiate on a peaceful resolution to the Ukraine war. He also spoke to President Xi and said that both countries will work to resolve issues, and Vivek will leave Dodge, the Department of Government Efficiency, leaving Elon to be solely in charge. So let's look at analyzing Trump's executive orders. So we will just focus on those having impact on global economy, finance, and geopolitics. Now, Trump wants to expand US oil production, and that was the reason why he pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. So according to Standard Chartered, US oil production growth is set to decline in 2025. And this trend is set to continue, okay, into 2026. The other thing is that US oil companies are focused on shareholders' return, and there has been less focus on drilling and exploration. So this is a chart on US rigs count. So normally, if let's say the oil companies, they are very eager, okay, to build their oil reserves. What they will do would be to expand their drilling rigs, okay, so that they can drill more and discover more resources, and then they build their reserves so that they can continue to produce oil. Now, for those who are unaware, there is a lot of things that is happening in the oil industry, and in our book, Unlock Your Wealth Potential, we had a very dedicated paragraph, okay, where we talk about the energy cliff. We talk about what's have been happening to the oil industry, where exploration has been going down, where production has been going up. Okay, but this is another conundrum. Okay, because Trump is also pressuring Saudi Arabia to produce more oil, to push the price lower so that it forces Russia to the negotiation table. But if the price of oil is low, there'll be less incentive for US oil producer to increase oil production. Okay. Not only that, if the oil price is low, there's no reason for them to want to explore for more oil because there's no incentive to continually build up the reserves. Okay. They would rather, because oil companies are profit driven. If let's say, even if they have substantial reserve, they will lower down their production, okay, so that it will push the price higher. And another thing is that the shale oil reserve in the US Permian Basin is facing decline in production as well. So it's not so easy as saying that we right now have no limits on drilling. Okay, and then all the oil companies would start to drill. No, it has to be related to the price. If the price is right, then they would actually hire more rigs to search for more oil. Here you can see that over the past 1 year plus, where the oil price have been trending down, the number of drilling rigs have also trended down as well. So that means that the only incentive for producers to increase production, okay, is when the oil price is high, okay. And if the oil price is low, then there's no incentive for them to drill, build their reserve, or produce more oil. So by designating the drug cartels as terrorists could open the pathway for military intervention in Mexico. Now, one of the things that is rather concerning that is right now on the Twitter sphere is that the Marines are gathering at the border. Some people say that it's just for show just to show to everyone how serious Trump is in securing the border. But when you see a lot of heavy equipment that is being transported to the border, it also raises some concern. And some people are commenting that could it be the start of a war against the drug cartel? So this remains to be seen. Okay, Trump intends to deport all illegal immigrants. Already many farms are expressing the lack of labor to harvest their produce. Now, this could lead to wastages and an uptick in the price of food. And the freeze in hiring by federal agencies will affect future non-farm payroll reports as government employees contributed significantly to the jobs created during the Biden administration. Now, this was at the bottom of the pandemic. And you can see that since the post-COVID low of 21,395,000 jobs, the government has added 2.12 million employees to 23.51 million at the end of December 2024. You can see that how the 2 million government employees have contributed to the US job growth. Now, with the freeze in hiring, okay, and with Trump right now saying that everyone must report to work in person, there'll be people who may want to give up their government jobs. And the other thing, Trump says that the 88,000 IRS agents or Inland Revenue Services agents that Biden hired, he would actually send them to the border to control, to patrol the border. So expect most of them to leave as well. So when you have a freeze in hiring, where over the past few years, it was due to the hiring of government employees that boost the NFP. With this being removed, we can expect that the job situation could turn worse. Okay. So abolishing the DEI policy would serve the US well, but abandoning the ESG policy with regard to the environment would put the US at a disadvantage as China develops its renewable energy sector and EVs. US renewable energy and auto sectors will fall behind in innovation. Because the only thing that can push a company towards innovation is when they are confronted with increased competition. It's just like, China is being devoided the access of AI chips, but that doesn't stop China from coming up with DeepSeek. Okay, neither did it stop China from developing its own lithography machine. So all this goes to show that if the US current auto sector is being protected, okay, because the Chinese are too competitive, then they will slacken again and they will not be able to find a market that's outside of the US because China EVs are actually being exported all over the world, okay, including Latin America, Africa, as well as Southeast Asia. So that will actually put the US at a competitive disadvantage. And the US auto sector in particular will face a shrinking global market for ICEs or internal combustion engine. So Trump did not disclose which, there's some, which other, I'll correct it later. Trump did not disclose which are the cryptocurrencies, but is paving way to establish cryptocurrencies, will be a part of the National Crypto Reserve. So I'll just have to amend the sentence later for the members' PowerPoint slide. However, Trump planned to strengthen US leadership in digital financial technology will spark many development of new enterprises and could spearhead a crypto renaissance in the US. We will see more participation by BlackRock, Vanguard, and major US banks in the crypto sphere. We just so Trump proposal to annex Canada, retake the Panama Canal, and buy Greenland, okay, will cause rifts in the global geopolitics. The tariff against Canada and Mexico will create further imbalances in the supply of natural resources because both Canada and Mexico are major resource countries. Okay, the tariff will take effect on 1st of February 2025. So watch uranium, gold, silver, oil, gas, lumber, etc. because Trump action could spark another round of inflation in the US. So Canada is a major exporter of things like oil and gas to the US, uranium as well, and gold. But there are some analysts who are saying that gold will not be tariffed because it is considered a forex. Okay, it's considered a currency and thereby may not be seen as a resource. But silver from Mexico definitely will be tariffed. Okay, and can you imagine if Mexico being the world's largest silver producer, and if let's say silver is tariffed, okay, and silver is very much needed in all industries, whether it be in electronics, in solar, in EVs, even in ICE, okay, anything that have a circuitry board, okay, would require silver. And also in the military industrial complex, if silver is tariff, then silver price could actually move up. So with regard to the 100% tariff to be imposed on BRICS nation, if they deviate from using the US dollar, this would push even more countries towards BRICS. Okay, the US would require finished goods and commodities from BRICS nations. Any tariff will result in higher inflation in the US, and the BRICS nation would just trade among themselves using local currencies, and the tariffs will be borne by US consumers. Because the long arm of the US can only be reached if they are trading in US dollar. If let's say they are not trading in US dollar, the US cannot do anything. Okay, they have to give grounds for the sanction. And even though if they sanction the BRICS nations, they will just continue to trade among themselves because trade among BRICS nations, especially between ASEAN and China, is much bigger trade compared to ASEAN and the US. So that is more incentive for them to continue trading among themselves. Okay, so the US would just, when you start to sanction everyone, people just don't sell their goods to you. Okay, and at the end of the day, it will be the consumers who will pay for the tariff. And I do not know how can it be so misguided that some of the people in US thinks that putting a tariff on other countries is good for them. It's good for US citizens. Okay. It's just like Trump is saying that he will abolish income tax, but he will have tariff against all goods. it's no different because what comes in then would be inflation. And inflation itself is a stealthy tax against consumers' disposable income. So, it just doesn't make sense, okay? And yes, the US can tariff like it did during the late 1800s, okay, where the US government revenue is derived strictly from tariffs. But at that time, the US have a very huge production capacity. The US is exporting finished goods. But right now, US as a production, as a manufacturing concern, pales in comparison with China, which China now has captured, is now the leader of global manufacturing, I think for the 15th consecutive year. And at that time, US debt is also very low. Right now, they need to continue to print, okay, issue bonds to keep funding the government. And when you do not have income tax, okay, you do not have income tax to help subsidize the government's income, then when everything is tariffed, okay, the US would have insufficient income to keep itself funded. So at the end of the day, it will actually have to increase its borrowing, and in that sense will increase the borrowing cost, because people then would think that the US will not repay its bonds, and they would not buy US bonds unless the yield is much higher. So it doesn't make sense to me, okay? So with regard to interest rate reduction, only the Fed can adjust the interest rate, and it remains independent of the presiding government. Should the Fed bow down to the pressure, I expect many consumers to be priced out of their credit accessibility, because interest rates are a reflection of the current financial conditions. If interest rate does not commensurate with the risk, then banks will just restrict lending. So if banks restrict lending, how can the economy grow? Okay, because there's no financing. Again, I think that all these are very misguided, okay? So the tax cut proposed could further widen the gap between the rich and poor, made worse by a resurging inflation. UST yields could surge as a result. Finding peace between Russia and Ukraine, the US threatened to increase sanctions against Russia, and Trump is ill-informed. Why? Because in the interview, he said that Ukraine casualties were 700,000, Russian casualties were more than 1 million. If let's say Russian casualties were more than 1 million, Ukraine would not have ceded so much of its area in the last few months to Russia. Okay, so I think someone is not informing Trump correctly. And Russia is not the one having insurmountable loss. It is Ukraine. Peace has to be negotiated under Russia terms. Okay, this is what I think the US lack the foresight. They think that they can still bend Russia's arm, whereas the situation on the ground is a total reversal. And another thing, Russia GDP by PPP ranked 4th in the world. And Trump says that Russia is having a lot of difficulties, their economy is not doing well. I think it's like regurgitating during the first few months of 2020, where everyone says that Russia, the ruble is going to be rubble, okay? And von der Leyen was saying, yeah, I call her von der Leyen, not the EU president, saying that Russia right now is using washing machines chips to substitute their military chips. So all this kind of thing is just from a very warped mind, okay? So hopefully both US and China can work together to ensure world peace, but Trump admin is also besieged by many anti-China hawks. So let's look at the US, what could happen in February. Inflation will stamp its mark, especially when the 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico comes into effect. And this could be bearish for stocks. We could see some relocation of manufacturing plants from Canada and Mexico back to the US, but the major concern is the cost of labor in the US. This could hinder the relocation. Now, if you do a search on Google, US rank highest in terms of labor costs, okay, followed by Canada and Mexico. Canada and Mexico could find alternate buyers, leaving the US starved of critical commodities. Mexico has a lot of silver. If no one wants to buy, I'm sure India and China would rush in to buy. Okay, so commodities could edge higher as a result. The freeze in hiring could see NFP being hit, but bad news for the economy, being good news for the stock market, we could see a rally. Okay, that's how, when many years back, if let's say the jobs market is poor, okay, the stock market would take a hit. Right now, when there's bad news, the stock market would go up. Why? Because everyone thinks that the Fed will have to ease, the Fed will cut interest rate further, the Fed will do QE. So the stock market is going up for all the different reasons. So I doubt that the Fed will bow down to Trump's demand to reduce interest rate. Now, this could send the UST yields soaring to a level that it impedes the ability of the government to secure financing. Okay, if let's say they really bow down. Therefore, the stock market could be choppy with outside buyers in February because the market still is very optimistic. Okay, but I think sometime in Q2 is where we need to be very, very careful. Okay, but as the market goes up, okay, there is opportunity to start taking profit because I believe that there's a lot of crisis that is now underlying the good news. Okay, that is like a ball being pressed being pressed underwater. So when it bounces up, it could create a very huge ripple across the stock market. So we could see crypto-related activities go into hyperdrive as more friendly guidelines are revealed. So let's look at Europe's economic indicators. Germany GDP up 0.1%, France Q3 GDP up 0.4%, UK GDP unchanged. So Euro area CPI came in at 2.4% year-on-year in December, up from 2.2% in November. UK CPI came in at 2.5% year-on-year in December, down slightly from 2.6% in November. Euro area retail sales came in at 1.2% year-on-year in November, down from 2.1% in October, revised. UK retail sales came in at 3% year-on-year in December, up from unchanged in November, which is revised. German manufacturing PMI came in at 44.1 in January versus 42.5 in December, while services PMI came in at 52.5 versus 51.2 a month ago. France manufacturing PMI came in at 45.3 in January versus 41.9 in December, while services PMI came in at 49.8 versus 49.3 a month ago. UK manufacturing PMI came in at 48.2 in January versus 47 in December, while the services PMI came in at 51.2 versus 51.1 a month ago. So here we can see that Europe deindustrialization is still ongoing, okay? Because Europe has starved itself of cheap energy from Russia, and its energy is right now using coal and or importing LNG from the US or from India. And France seems to be the weaker among the three countries, okay, with both PMI in manufacturing and services facing contraction. So Europe will see persistent inflation even as economic growth is slowing down. Now, this is an indication that Europe could be heading for a stagflation. So bankruptcies in Euro area are on the rise again, and this could have profound implications on its economic trajectory. Given the weak indicators and the resurgent inflation, which hampers company spending and consumption, we could see the situation worsen. So this is showing that the US bankruptcies are on the rise again. Government bonds in UK and France are showing signs of stress. UK 10-year gilts yield is now 4.64% versus 3.88% a year ago, which is an increase of 75.8 bps. While France 10-year bond yield is now at 3.306 versus 2.72 a year ago, an increase of 57.7 bps. Given their current debt level, we could see further increase in yields. And that is why I believe that the BOE and ECB would spring into action in the coming few months. So let's look at China economic indicators. Q4 GDP grew 5.4% for the entire year. GDP grew 5%. CPI rose 0.1% year-on-year in December, down from 0.2% in November. Core CPI rose 0.4% year-on-year in December, up from 0.3% in November. PPI came in at negative 2.3% year-on-year in December, down from negative. Sorry, it should be up from. So PPI was actually aging higher. Retail sales climbed 3.7% year-on-year in December, up from 3% in November. Industrial production went up 6.2% year-on-year in December, up from 5.4% in November. Fixed asset investment went up 3.2% year-on-year in January to December, down from 3.3% from the period of January to November. China posted a trade surplus of 992 billion for the entire 2024, which is a new record. So that's almost 1 trillion in surpluses. Now, a lot of people recently mentioned that China 10-year bond yield has fallen down to levels never seen before, and they say that China is in a major deflation, going to enter into depression. You know, these are all very negative news, but they are wrong, okay? One of the key reasons why China's 10-year bond yield is falling is because the banks have reduced interest rate for deposits. So the Chinese like to play it safe. So China has 140 trillion renminbi in terms of savings. So what they do, if interest rate is low, they move their money into bonds, because the more money that goes into the bond, the lower will be the yield, because the demand for the bond is very high. So that is the reason for the fall in the 10-year yield. So for that rationale, they see that the yield is falling, but then they say US economy is better because the 10-year yield is actually moving up. So I think, sometimes don't buy this kind of news. Now, the other thing is that the falling yield could also reflect that there is a lot of demand for Chinese government bonds, because China has 1 trillion surplus, which means China will be able to finance and pay back when the investor redeem the treasury. Okay, whereas in the US, they cannot get the redemption paid unless the US issue even more debt, because whatever debt that the US, whatever income that the US has is being used to finance its spending, including paying more than $1 trillion in interest payment, and there's no leftover to repay for bond redemption, to pay for bond redemption. Bond redemptions have to be financed by issuance of new bonds. Okay, so that could be the reason why people flock to Chinese government bonds, and therefore pushing the yield even lower. So the other thing is that China unemployment rate was 5.1% in December. Per capita disposable income stood at 41,000 renminbi, okay, or US $5,700. in 2024, up 5.3% year-on-year in nominal terms, while representing an increase of 5.1% after deducting price factors. So after deducting for inflation, they still have a net gain of 5.1%. So that means that the people actually see real wage growth, okay? Median per capita disposable income nationwide was 34,000 in 2024, a nominal increase of 5.1% year-on-year. Now let's talk about China real estate. Following the rollout of comprehensive package of incremental policies in 2024, China's property market has seen more active trading and improved supply-demand relationship. In the first quarter, new commercial housing sales achieved growth in terms of both area and volume. The area and volume of new commercial housing sales for October to December period reversed the previous trend of continuous decline by gaining 0.5% and 1% year-on-year respectively. So things are starting to turn around. Among 70 large and medium-sized cities, 23 saw month-on-month increases in new home prices in December, and 9 registered rising prices for resold homes compared to the previous month. In the 4 first-tier Chinese cities, okay, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, price of new homes marked the first increase since June 2023 by gaining 0.2% from the previous month, while resold homes saw a 0.3% increase for the third straight month. Home prices for second and tier cities recorded narrowing decreases in December. The decline in home prices across all city tiers also further narrowed on a yearly basis. So the real estate market recovery has had a positive impact on related industries, with a rise in business activity, expectation index for construction sector for third consecutive month, and with improved sales in furniture as well as building and decoration materials. Now, if let's say the sales improve for furniture and decoration materials, this will spill over to the overall retail sales. So China power consumption, electricity consumption rose 6.8% year-on-year in 2024. But China reported a GDP growth of 5%. So that goes to show that, as I always mention, electricity consumption is a good indicator of the potential of economic activities in a country. So at 6.8%, obviously, there are some industries in China that are not included in the GDP growth. For example, those in the services industry. So total figure for the year was 9.85 trillion kilowatt hour. During 2024, power consumption by the country's primary industries increased 6.3% year-on-year, while that of its secondary and tertiary sector rose 5.1% and 9.9% respectively. So tertiary sectors industry are normally those smaller industries which are found in the rural areas, and having a 9.9% growth is rather significant, okay? That goes to show that the rural revitalization process that was initiated by China a few years ago is gradually showing its progress.
Yeah,
so
results.
Residential power usage saw growth of 10.9%. So obviously, when economy is better, people would actually splurge on their electronics at home, okay, leading to higher consumption. So one policy actually surfaced last week, okay, that is China's policy on investment. Assets under the management of China's public offering funds rose to 33 trillion by the end of 2024 from 13 trillion in 2019, according to China Securities Regulatory Commission. So you can see that there's investment funds going into China, okay, and from 2019 to 2024, a period of 5 years, it has risen from 13 trillion to 33 trillion. In 2025, the sales fees of public offering funds would be further slashed, saving a total of 45 billion annually to investors. So the fees is going to be slashed to make it more affordable, okay, for people to put their money with public funds. So China financial authorities also unveiled a plan outlining measures to encourage medium and long-term funds into the capital market to further stabilize stock market performance. Public offering funds would increase their A share holdings of circulating market capitalization by at least 10% annually over the next 3 years. Efforts are being made to ensure large state-owned insurance companies allocate 30% of their newly added annual premium income to invest in A shares starting in 2025, which is expected to inject hundreds of billions of renminbi of long-term capital into the A share market each year. So we are talking about hundreds of billions. So the second batch of pilot programs for long-term stock market investment from insurance funds will be implemented in the first half of 2025 with a minimum scale of 100 billion, gradually expanding thereafter. So I did a research, and in Q1 2024, newly added premium in Q1 2024 was slightly more than 400 billion renminbi. Now, if they were to allocate 30% of newly added annual premium, that would be equivalent to 100 over billion a quarter. So that is why we are looking at, several hundred of billions of renminbi to support the stock market every year. Okay, and that could actually be something that would change the stock market trajectory. No doubt the US has outperformed China by a huge margin. The highest that we use the Hang Seng Index, okay? The highest that the Hang Seng Index ever achieved was 31,000 some years ago. During that period, the S&P have continued to break into new highs, okay? So much so that the gap between the Hang Seng Index and S&P is so huge. That goes to show that the Chinese market is very, very undervalued versus the US. And with all these hundreds of billions coming in every year, on top of right now, they are encouraging public companies to actually borrow loans to buy back their shares, and at a discounted rate. We could see more lively activities in the stock market, I believe, this year, okay, and subsequent years. So if you are if you look at the valuation, you will see what I mean, okay? So what could happen in February? The new policy on investment provide impetus for stability and growth for Chinese stock markets, whether it's the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, Shanghai Stock Exchange, or the Shenzhen Stock Exchange. Actually, I missed out one. There's one Beijing Stock Exchange right now as well. According to China Breaking News, I already mentioned that they will actually look at 10% of current GDP stimulus, or at least 10 trillion. The extended and expected trade-in program now covers wider range of electronics products, and this could boost consumption for the month. The extension of subsidies for trade-in for NEVs will be bullish for Chinese auto manufacturers, but some analysts envisage a new price war could undermine profits. So there'll be a lot of competition in China. Okay, but if you are investing into Chinese auto, select those that are profitable, okay? The real estate market is seeing signs of improvement, but such improvement must be consistent to draw interest in the sector. Steel and cement companies could be the first movers. And the steel company, there's one steel company that I used to follow. During the boom time, its dividend yield is 20 over %. Okay, and the shares was trading at $3 over Hong Kong. Right now, last year it fell below $1, but right now it's back above $1. So that goes to show that there are some improvement taking place in the real estate market. So strong domestic and overseas travels are expected during Chinese New Year holidays, underpinning strong fundamentals for the domestic airline operators. For the members' weekly report, I already mentioned which are the two airlines to look out for. So more breakthroughs from China is to be expected, and meanwhile, China's inflation will remain within a tight range. Going to geopolitics, Trump has suspended all foreign aid for 90 days. However, Pentagon officials commented that the suspension does not include the provision of weapons to Ukraine. So peace in Ukraine will come under Putin's terms, not Trump's. NATO's unity will be put to test as Trump plans to pull US troops out of Europe. And here's the report. Okay, Trump's meeting with Denmark PM ended with disaster. Trump has set his sights on Greenland, and no one will be able to dissuade him. So another Maidan is now unfolding in Slovakia after Fico refused to bow to EU and NATO's demand. So Maidan is when the CIA and NATO got involved in creating havoc in Ukraine, leading to the current government in power. Okay, so political crisis in South Korea will undermine its currency and economy. I believe that South Korea will become currency will continue to be weak, okay, and its economy too, because South Korea heavy industry is under attack. Okay, for example, last time South Korea is one of the major players in the shipbuilding industry. Right now, China has cornered more than 50% of the shipbuilding industry globally.
Yeah, and also LCD. Last time
Yes,
Korea,
yes,
Samsung and LG is the
yes,
major producer. They cornered from Japan. And
yes.
now China and Panda, BOE, they are now the major LCD panel suppliers. You know, as LCD panels, those panels that in your computer screens now, and also the TV, all these are actually based on the LCD technology.
Yeah, even on the car display. The other company is actually BOE.
BOE.
Yeah.
BOE, yeah, is actually a company in which part in Anhui, yeah. In Anhui district. Actually okay, I think majority they got the technology from Hyundai Korea, whereas Panda is from Sharp Japan. So I have a
Yeah,
lot of Japanese in the top management.
yeah. So the other thing is its economy. Okay. The weaker the currency, the higher the inflation, and the poorer the economy. And the other thing, of course, I didn't mention here is Japan. Japan recently raised their interest rate by 25 basis point. Japan inflation has gone up a lot. And the other day I read an article which was rather shocking because it mentioned that thousands of ramen stores in Japan have actually shut down because of the poor economy and inflation. So you can, and even Nissan right now, whether it can continue its ongoing operation is a concern, okay? Because the Chinese EVs have bulldozed its way across the strong Japanese market in Southeast Asia. Okay, for example, BYD now is number one in Singapore, and I think BYD is fighting for first place in Thailand against Toyota. So I think a lot of all this will actually undermine Japan further, and Japan companies also, you know, have to put themselves to blame because they are restricting themselves from exporting again semiconductor manufacturing equipment to China. So when you restrict it in this manner, so your economy, um, the export itself that makes the money outside money flowing into the country is greatly reduced, and this will hamper the economy even greater. And meanwhile, Indonesia joins BRICS as a full-fledged member, and this will alter the geopolitics in Southeast Asia and put Australia in a spot because Indonesia has an island chain of 7,000 islands. Okay. and it's very close to Australia. And right now, they are moving very close to China. And being a BRICS member would allow, okay, Navy ships from Russia or China to transit in the Indonesian uh, islands, whether it's joint military exercise and such, okay? And this will actually put Australia in a spot. So,
And also, yeah, and also, Indonesia is the most populated nation now in Southeast Asia.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and also they have very close relationship where they allow China to come in and mine their resources in exchange for
And
industrial
yes,
knowledge.
yes, and Indonesia government was very strict. Okay, they say that China cannot mine the resources and send back to China. They forced China to start an EV and battery industry in Indonesia. So what happened was BYD and CATL came in and they started the battery factory in Indonesia, so that those batteries are exported outside of Indonesia, whether for assembly plants in Thailand or elsewhere, so that Indonesia is exporting batteries, okay, and help their people to move a scale up in the industrial chain. And similarly, Indonesia did not allow Apple 16 to be sold because Apple do not want to start an assembly plant in Indonesia. I think they were discussing something. Then Apple say we will actually put in, I think, 1 or 2 billions, but Indonesia was not satisfied. They actually want as many value chain to be in Indonesia. So that's what happened. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah,
In unlock your wealth potential, we also mentioned about Southeast Asia and Indonesia as well. So this
yeah,
aligned to what we have predicted. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So I think that's it from. Is that
yeah,
BC?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
I will
back to
share
you.
my screen, and then before I share my screen to do the summary, can I make a small request? I think PC can stop sharing now. That y'all can on your camera so that we can capture this session for the first session of the year 2025. If you don't mind, for those that can on the camera, okay. Yeah, PC, is it okay? You stop sharing?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, okay, I already stopped your sharing.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you very much. Let me just view it in this one, gallery view. Yeah, for those that can on, yeah, BJ, can you don't mind, can you help me to capture the this one, the screen? BJ? Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, I think there are two. Save as. Okay. Ready? I'm BJ. Another screen. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for those that on your camera. Audrey, Emmeline, Esme, and also Gavin just now. Yeah, Boon Leong as well. Yeah, I see Boon Leong for the first time. Hello. Yeah, and some of you I have not seen y'all before, so even our members. So deeply appreciate. Yeah, or this one. Okay. So I think finish BJ. Is it done? Yeah, okay. So
Okay,
I
Evelyn,
think
I have a comment.
uh,
You posted my YouTube channel, but I would also want to post in that preferably you go to my Rumble channel,
okay.
like my video, because I got 100 over subscribers here in YouTube, but I'm being censored. Okay, so
Oh,
my
okay.
viewership 100 over subscribers, from 400 over views it dropped down to 13.
Okay.
So because of the things I say lah, okay,
Yeah,
about war and all those NATO, Europe, US, all those kind of stuff.
yeah, they
So
can screen up.
I'm being shadow banned. So
Okay.
hopefully you all can go to my Rumble channel, okay, like my videos and all those, because help me build back my channel, okay, because that YouTube channel is totally gone. Although I still post there, but the viewership is very low. So maybe you can help me by liking my videos and all those to help me build back my Rumble channel.
Maybe you put in the link, PC.
Yeah, I already posted it.
Okay, good, good. So, okay, for those that join us for the first time, if you are interested to know our work or this year's the forecast on astrology and global trends, you can download a free chapter of our book. This one, okay, you can use this link. Maybe PC you can put into the link where they can download the free chapter of the book to know about our
Okay.
work. Or you
Okay.
can also get this book for free if you join us as a members, okay? So later I will show you the membership benefits, okay? And you definitely will get back all your investment, much, much more. I think few hundred times more, okay? So the comprehensive membership is actually 209 ringgit. Okay, it's still December 2025 only, this price. Okay, that means from now until December is about 11 months. Okay, I'm discounted this month about 11 months, and 329 for premium members. So as a member, you can get early access to our monthly forecast full recording, full recording. The one that I post in YouTube one is already, I have already edited the presentation slide of the monthly, even today's presentation slides. And then we will have a yearly 2025 astrology and global trends talk. Normally, we will charge $50 for outsiders to come in and join, but for members, it's free. Telegram group channel for discussions. This is very important, where we will put in the studies of the stocks that we put in for the members only. It's not shared, meant to share outside. And the books 2025 are free, and then monthly investors manifestation direction for your intuition. Okay. I actually decided not to put it in, but later on we put it in. And also the for premium membership, on top of all this, you will get market insights report, weekly 3 victory achievement direction. I will tell you how to use it, the daily achievement daily direction. And moreover, you join us, you will get a welcome gift for comprehensive and premium package members. You will get a list of high dividend yield share that we have already researched and sort of recommend it to you all. Okay, on those I did a list of about 8 to 9 stocks, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, then okay, this is what we have run this platform for more than 3 years. Okay, and it has already shown in this one our past record. Since day one we started this platform, PC, we already tell people how to invest in gold, right?
Yeah.
The time gold
Yeah.
was only below 200. It's about maybe about 200 plus at that time. Okay, so and now it has gone up substantially. Even silver also starts to see its days. And then also in 2024 last year, we told people to, we study Palantir. We didn't tell people to invest. Sorry, I will need to retract my words. We study Palantir and share with our members. That time it was only like about 20 US dollars, right? So
20
today,
plus,
yeah,
20
20
plus.
plus, maybe about 30, I think. I'm 78.98 today. Okay, ARMS also the same thing. I think it was like below 50 US dollars.
No, it was
It was
about
70,
100 something.
100 something. Okay,
Yeah,
here.
slightly above 100, if I'm not
Slightly
wrong.
above. Okay, yeah. So it starts to say, this one is really the star, the dark horse that we also don't expect. We study this. Okay. Actually, both PC and I study also in the background. I use the Chinese astrology method. He used this method also. Both of us study this in the background. And this is,
Actually, this one
what
has a
happened.
very interesting story.
Yeah.
Maybe we can share it here.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
HK Asia is a company that IPO at $5 dropped down to less than 30 cents. So when it was less than 30 cents, then I look at it, it came up with a profit warning. So I wrote an email to the management. So I say that, since IPO, your stock already lost more than 90%. So I say, why not you, instead of still giving dividend, you look at uh, looking at things like, foregoing the dividend and then investing that money into cryptocurrencies and such. So then 2 weeks later, the share price from I think 28 cents start to move up all the way to 40 over cents. Then I asked Evelyn, hey, the share price move up from move up about 60 or 70%, and I do not know what's happening. And that's when Evelyn actually do some Chinese
Forecasting.
astrology, yeah,
Yeah, human
forecasting.
forecasting.
Yeah. So then it went into suspension. And after the suspension, it came out that the company is being bought by an entire investment group, some of them with cryptocurrency in the background. And then they say that they are buying over the entire share of the previous management, and that they are going to look at Web 3.0 business as well as cryptocurrency investment and all those. And that's when the share price suddenly shot up. So I'm not saying that my writing has anything to influence, it's just a coincidence. But because of that, because of the share suddenly going up, I also checked with Evelyn, and then we sort of discuss, and then she do some
Background forecasting.
background
Mm.
forecasting. Then we say, okay, let's hold it, and see what happens. And then this is where it is lah. Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's why we didn't tell members to sell also. We just tell members that this is what we are studying. That's all
Yeah,
only. We didn't recommend any buy, any sell, or anything. That
yeah.
is not the platform to recommend buy, sell, or anything. Because this is the platform, this one that we will just tell you that this is what exactly happened. Okay.
Actually,
So
what happened is also because members were asking what are the better dividend paying stocks.
mm,
So this was chanced upon because based on its dividend, it was paying, I think, very high double digit. I
mm,
think very high double digit dividend, because at one time it pays a dividend when the share price dividend of 5 cents when the share price was just 20 over cents. Okay. So you can see that it is almost is almost 20%. Okay.
mm.
Dividend yield. So that was a fluke shot that we put in list some companies which actually pay very high dividend. But the transition of this company into a company that's going to invest in crypto was totally not known beforehand. Okay, put it that way. But the transition was very interesting for those who actually bought into it when it was less than 30 cents.
Yeah, okay, yes, okay. So what we put in is just meant for study once again. So even Bitcoin, so 2 years ago when I was already in platform, I already told members that to invest in Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin is the highest now in the history. Okay, so our members will have a study of a snapshot. Normally, I will tell them a little bit that based on the studies that this is the time that when you can let go of Bitcoin or when you can go in. Okay, so this is something I wouldn't say that our study is 100% accurate, but at least it can be used as a proper guideline. So far, we have not bring anybody to Holland in their investment yet. Okay, Holland means that bring you around the circle for your investment. Okay, so if you decided to join us in this platform, you can always fill in the form and then buy our books, and then after that you pay, and after that you this one. So the weekly report, these are the things that we reported, the 3 victory pillars. And so I think we can go through the summary of today, February 2025 forecast. So in February, we will expect more like natural disasters as well, potential conflicts over resources, and then also the growth in agriculture industries, and then there will be challenges in the financial institutions that will start coming in as well. Okay, so over to you, PC.
Yeah, I think a lot of things would hover around Trump's policy, okay, which will alter economic, financial, and geopolitical dynamics in the world. And Trump's policy could unleash inflation in the US. And underinvestment and sanctions will result in global shortage of critical mineral resources, be it US, China, okay? So flight to gold and silver as safe havens as US dollar weakens. So we already see the first stage of US dollar weaken when the BOJ raised interest rate by 25 basis point, and Trump's talk about cutting interest rate and also wanting the mortgage rate to go down. So all these are signs that people are anticipating that the US dollar would go further down. So US market will be choppy with upside bias, while China markets will be underpinned by stimulus. So even though US market will be very choppy, I think there's still indication that it will be a very strong upwards bias, but with a lot of volatility in between, because the calls option on the S&P still is very high. I think it's still at record high if I'm not wrong. So that is why this will underpin the optimism in the market. And furthermore, the fear gauge, previously I think CNN comes up with the fear gauge and greed gauge. Previously it was greed. Right now it's just slightly above fear. So that means that any strong optimism would push the needle back towards greed, and that would mean the stock market has chances to move higher. And that is an indicator that there could be some more room for it to move. I think in the members area, I also share a video from David Hunter, who predicted that the S&P would actually go on rampage all the way to 7,000. And he was right in 2022, where everyone was predicting a recession. He said no, the S&P will continue to break into new record highs. So far his prediction on that since then has been correct. So he said it will go up to 7,000 before all the underlying weakness, okay, whether it's debt, whether it's the overvaluation of asset, be it stock market or real estate, which then does not have reason to support anymore, and then it will start to collapse. And what he says was quite fearful, because he says that it will go down easily by 70 to 80%. Okay, this is similar to what happened during 1929, where during the roaring 20s, the stock market just kept going up. And then when it collapsed, the Dow fell by 90%. So he is saying something similar, but whether what he's predicting will be true or not, I think all of us know that the global debt is unsustainable. We know that a lot of things are actually boiling beneath the surface. So as you make certain profits, I think it's better that you take some profit and save some bullets along the way. And this is what I'm currently doing as well, okay? If
Yeah,
I
me
make some
too.
profit, then I would put some money into my cash and then use a small portion to continue to speculate. So you need to manage this situation much better, because definitely the risks are much greater now, because a lot of things that have been compounded all through the years, is now bubbling just beneath the surface.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because period 9 also, the energy is very volatile. Anything could happen, but actually it's no surprise, because this has come up, for many, many years. But it's just that in period 9, the 5-year period is very visible. Those that read my books and will know about 5 years, attended my talk, will know about this as well. So I think that's it. We are open for Q&A. Anybody can ask us. Yeah. Anyone has any questions that would like to ask us, can go ahead and do so. I see, got any questions or not? Oh, okay. Thanks, Audrey, for your good comments. Okay. Yeah, Mitra shared that, if the main door with 5 yellow, if there is a Sachi, I mean some sharp object pointing to you, then it will be, very much enhanced. Okay. So if you want to mitigate 5 yellows, you can also, another way is do something big and different. Okay, so you need to act like an emperor, like what we are doing now. We are doing something big and different also. Okay, so anyone else has any questions?
Yeah, Qing Yi has a question. Will China HSI be bullish in 2025? Now, I think that the Hansing would actually move up, underpinned by a lot of the stimulus. But I think we cannot expect it to move like the S&P because uh, the rise will be gradual as more stimulus are revealed, and until such time that others, the real estate sector has recovered. Okay, therefore it spill over across the wider industry because the real estate or property market is a very huge industry. It affects both the manufacturing, the retail, as well as the finances. Okay, so but other than that, the high tech manufacturing, the technology, especially the e-commerce platforms. Yeah. Today I just sent out the weekly report where I did some quick comparison of the PEs of Chinese e-commerce versus a US peer. Then you can actually gauge the kind of valuation. So I think they will gradually move up, but there will be some companies that will actually offshoot very high. Okay, for example, the Chinese semiconductor manufacturing companies, they will actually move up very, very fast. Okay, so that is something to look at. But overall, I think there'll be a gradual rise for the HSI.
Okay, yeah. When we say US economy is not doing well, that doesn't mean the New York, the index is not, the Wall Street is not doing well. The US economy will still be vibrant. Okay, but it's just a sign China is gradually taking over. So it's not to create a panic. US definitely it will not be an overnight thing one.
Yeah, so I think the whole thing is that like in our book, I mentioned that the S&P will continue to go up until it can't. Okay, because there is still a lot of liquidity in the market. Central
Yes.
banks, they are still cutting interest rates. Okay,
Mm.
so because when there's money in the market, it always goes into speculation. Okay, not savings where the US is concerned. Okay, that's why the US have very low savings rate. China has very high savings rate. Okay, US savings rate is in the few hundred billion. China's saving rate in converted to US dollar is more than 20 trillion. Okay, so that's a different type of society. So that's why as long as liquidity is there, even though the market, the economy may not be doing well, but because of liquidity, people will continue to speculate. Especially right now with Trump's policy on cryptocurrency, he is paving for new ground for speculating. Okay, so World War III, I don't think World War III will happen because all wars will be fought by proxies where the US is concerned. The US know that it will not be directly involved in a war with a major superpower, be it Russia or China. Although there are a lot of talk that US would come in, and support those countries, it will probably be arms shipment, letting the military industrial complex make money and not sacrificing US troops. For those who believe that the US will come in and support, let me share a story with you. And you can actually find it in YouTube or in the internet. In December, when the Chinese were having a military exercise in the South China Sea, the US sent, I think, several number of the electronic warfare airplanes called the Growlers into the area in a bid to intimidate the Chinese Navy. So what happened was the Chinese sent out its latest destroyer, the 055 destroyer. I believe it's called the Nanchang. So to meet the growlers. So what happened was the kind of electronic warfare being used against the destroyer failed. Okay, they were able to stop the electronic warfare. So what happened was then it started to lock in on the aircraft and with their missiles, and the growlers subsequently left the scene. So this is widely discussed in the news, in YouTube, and also in the alternate news in the internet. So subsequently after that, the commander that was in charge of the electronic warfare was relieved of his duty. So that goes to show that, you know, those kind of modern warfare that is being waged, the US will not get directly involved in South China Sea. It will perhaps ask proxies, maybe, you know, if let's say there's a war in Taiwan, will ask Japan and Korea to help out, or even the Philippines, but US will not get involved. Okay, and if you listen to a recent interview with the new Secretary of Defense, he says that if the US send its aircraft carriers into the South China Sea, they will be wiped off in 20 minutes. Okay, so that is the reality that they are sharing. Okay, so I don't think for that matter it will happen, but big power play will always exist. Okay, like what is happening in Myanmar, the civil war there. Okay, what is happening in the South China Sea, and what is happening in Eastern Europe,
Africa.
okay, in Africa, and also in South America. So all
Yeah,
these
in
are
the
actually
Middle East.
proxies war. Okay, and
Yeah,
Middle East, of course. Yeah.
yeah, Middle East, the Israel's. Yeah, I'm taking
Yeah.
over Syria's. Okay,
Uh,
so from the energy standpoint, there will also not be, you know, a World War III, but it will be a very chaotic period. That is
yeah.
what is looked at from that. For Chinese question, we will answer you in the members Telegram channel. Okay, so for Francis, okay, yes, because you know why? A lot of this open AI executive they left. That's why it takes a long time for Sora to roll out also. They are supposed to roll out by the beginning of 2024 until, you know, end of 2024 only they roll out Sora, but when there are also other better, you know, image to video AI that is available, like Runway ML that was available, which is even more powerful. Okay, so yeah,
So this Ottoman mentioned US need to create more energy to counter China's AI. Do you know why he's so pro-energy? Because his Onclaw stock has gone up tremendously. It is a modular reactor. Okay, he is actually the person behind the company Onclaw that is positioning itself to supply modular nuclear reactors. Okay, to support the data centers.
so for Jayton's Hans comment, that's very true. You cannot use AI for, you know, to analyze party chart. It will not be accurate. Okay, so I never use it as well. All this, you know, party chart and all this is based on years and years. My one is over 15 years of studies with, you know, so thick the knowledge base, and also hundreds and hundred hours of following, you know, different seafood around the world. You know, I'm from Hong Kong, Malaysia, and also, you know, most of it are Hong Kong, Malaysia as well, in order to get this knowledge base. Okay, so never use AI for parts analysis. Okay, it will hallucinate. Yeah, this is what it means by hallucination. Okay, so any disaster or a lot of busters will be out of business already. No, this is something that is still not, I don't see, you know, in the coming that it will be able to replace unless it's a book knowledge. Okay, then that's different. So any disaster anticipated in Japan, as okay. Okay, for Japan, I don't really think that there will be, very major disaster in February. Okay, there will not be, any any very big one in February. It's not the time yet. Okay, so is that from Audrey, our members? Is that public? I think she just joined us recently. Is that public information available? Okay, I think PC, you need to take this question. Is there public information available on what direction the institutional money is going out into the US market, Asia, or additionally, which sector?
I think the institution money is still very strong in US, okay? Because of the hype for the Magnificent Seven, okay? So that is pulling in a lot of institution money. So the US is still the favored place. In Asia, I think there are selective countries in the Morgan Stanley MCIS, okay, if I'm not wrong, index for emerging markets. So there is some money going there. And I think that, of course, there are some talks that Europe right now is very beaten down, but I think Europe is something that you should stay away from, except that for very selected companies, which very niche market. Other than that, I think Asia is still the one. If you have a long-term view, I think Asia is the place to be, because a lot of the emerging market stocks compared to the US, they are at one of their lowest in terms of ratio. Okay, and if you like to contradict, okay, the market, then there's a lot of good companies in Asia right now, simply because of the weaker currencies, okay, that allow you to go in, okay, and so that when the economy in Asia really takes off, their currency strengthen, especially we are looking at the long-term trajectory that the US dollar could weaken further, then those in the Asia markets, their currency will strengthen, and that could you could also earn from the stock market gains as well as the currency gains. Okay, so these are something that you might want to consider.
Okay. So I think if there's no further questions, let's call it a night. We'd like to wish everyone that who are celebrating Chinese New Year a happy New Year. Okay. And yeah, hope you have a prosperous year ahead, with the information that you have with you. Okay.